Hi everyone and welcome to the webinar. The title of the webinar is After the Sale Improvements That You Can Make to Make Your Customers Happier. And my name is Lindsay Hampson. I'm the head of marketing at eBridge Connections. We're a company up north in Canada. We've been doing integrations for e-commerce and retail stores for about 23 years now. And also we're a proud partner of 3D Cart, and we've been working with some great 3D Cart customers lately to set up really fast after the sale processes to get boxes and shipments to the end user as soon as possible. All right, so this webinar is going to be about 20 minutes, and if you have any questions, you can always ask in the chat box. If you have any questions and you're watching this recorded version, you're always welcome to email us at ebridgeconnections.com. So what am I going to talk about in the next 20 minutes? The first thing is after the sale improvements that we've seen 3D Cart merchants that make a big difference and produce happier customers. The second thing I'm going to talk about is e-commerce integration. So it's a fancy term for connecting data flow from your 3D Cart store directly to your back office accounting system. And then I'm going to talk about fast and accurate order processing and what does that entail. And the last thing I'll touch on is, what are the top 5 things that I get asked as an eBridge employee about e-commerce integration. And so let's get started with the first topic of the day. So you've spent a lot of time, you've picked 3D Cart as your platform for e-commerce, but now that you've got the customer to click buy, what happens? It's often the thing that's not talked about a lot. How do you get that shipment or that package to your customer in the least amount of time and in the most accurate way possible? So that's why I'm here, and that's why you're spending the next 15 minutes with me. So let's move on. What makes a customer happy after the sale? So there's been a lot of research into this, making sure that things look similar in an email and they get their tracking or shipping number as quickly as possible is a factor. Also making sure that orders are accurate is a factor. But really when it all boils down, this is what happens. Happy customers get happy because of 2 things. One is you get them the order fast and you get them the order correctly. So today, I'm asking you, although the lines aren't open, how do you make sure that this happens today? So I'm going to be guessing. We've worked with a lot of merchants like yourself. What happens today typically is that once somebody clicks submit or buy on your store, in the back end, you need to go into 3D Cart's back end, find out what exactly that person ordered, type in their information into a FedEx or a Purolator, for example, get them their shipment, and then make sure that the invoice is processed through your accounting back end. So potentially you're using Sage or QuickBooks, or maybe you're using SAP or Microsoft Dynamics as your accounting or ERP package. Really, that accounting package matters less. It's really about how do you get the data for orders from your store over to your back-end system. So today, lots of people are doing it manually. It really just is somebody sitting at a computer copying and pasting data from an order over to the back-end system. So that's likely what you're doing today. And here's my picture of this. So you're inputting orders, item, customer information, such as their email address, their first name, their last name, their country, their postal code or zip code, details such as exactly what they ordered, how many, is the color red that they wanted, do they want anything customized. So you can imagine that each one of these boxes that's sliding across the screen is an example of, I don't know, a 10-minute task or a 20-minute task. So customers or merchants are finding that that's doable for, let's say, under 100 orders a month, maybe even 200 orders a month. But what about when you get above 200 orders a month? That is a lot of manual data input. And then I don't need to tell you, but there's obviously risks. It could be order or shipping delays. You could sell something that you actually don't have the correct inventory to fulfill. You could accidentally type someone's postal code or zip code incorrectly. I mean, there's a ton of things that can go wrong when you're manually inputting data. The next thing to consider is also what happens when somebody wants to return something. That's additional effort on your part as well. So often merchants hire somebody or even somebody part-time to do this rekeying. But what happens when they're sick? What happens when it's Black Friday? There's lots of business cases to be made for automation, which is what I'm going to talk about now. So next step is let's talk about e-commerce integration. That is the solution. Actually, last week we launched our e-commerce integration for dummies ebook. And e-commerce integration is really just this. It boils down to this. It's linking your accounting back office system, so your accounting system like QuickBooks, for example, with that online 3D cart store. So that when somebody places an order on your e-commerce platform, that order's data gets directly sent into your accounting package. That's really what e-commerce integration is. And I'll give you a chance to download this ebook at the end of this webcast. So visually, what am I talking about? So that's connecting 3D cart directly to your accounting system. So at eBridge, where I work, we support a bunch of different accounting packages. So I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. So let's pretend that I'm using SAP, but I've decided to switch from my SAP accounting system, and now I'm actually using Sage 50, for example, as my accounting package. So e-commerce integration is connecting 3D cart data directly to Sage data, for example. And that's the data I talked about a few minutes ago, which is order data, an order, they would like a red shirt, for example, quantity 5. Their email address is this. They're shipping it directly to their house at XYZ location. Your inventory levels go down by 5. You know, you can imagine all of the data that's produced with a single order. And so all of this data then is pushed and pulled between those two systems that I'm showing on the screen. And so instead of you typing it, data just flows automatically, even for returns. So no more manual data overload. So that, in a nutshell, is exactly what e-commerce integration is. So at eBridge, we built this blueprint builder tool. So you can go on our website and take a look if you want, if you get some time later, and type in ebridgeconnections.com/blueprint builder, and you'll get here. And you can explain to us the two systems that you wish you could integrate to save time. So in the first field, you would put, as an example, Microsoft Dynamics. Pretend that that's your accounting package. And in the second field, you would put 3D cart because you're a 3D cart customer. So then once you do that and you click Submit, you go to another screen which shows you all of the things, all of the data flows that you could map together so that data automatically syncs or connects between your two systems. This might be kind of tiny for you on your screen, so I'll explain a few of these data points. So what about inbound packing slips? What about sales orders coming inbound from 3D cart over to your accounting package? What about outbound inventory changes? So somebody orders 5 red shirts. You need to make sure that everybody in the warehouse knows those 5 shirts are gone and need to be replaced, for example. So these are all examples of touch points, we call them. So a connection of a piece of information from one side to the other is a touch point. And so we talk touch points here at eBridge, and that's all around e-commerce integration. So here's a few more examples. So data, once you have an e-commerce integration, will flow from a field in 3D cart, such as billing address, zip code, over to your accounting package, billing zip, for example, in that field. So you can imagine that this is all of the data points you were typing manually or copying and pasting manually, and now it just happens automatically. And then you can really imagine that if you had 200 orders or 200 of these every month, you wouldn't have to do, I don't know, maybe 5 days of work or 8 days of work to do 200 orders of manual typing. So you can probably see the benefit right there. I said a lot, but I promise that at the end of this, I'll explain where you can get that For Dummies book. It's just 24 pages that really dive deep into what e-commerce integration is. And the reason I brought it up is that that truly can speed up and produce accurate results for your after-the-sale process. All right, let's take a look at some of our customers today and how they are experiencing that fast and accurate order processing with integration. So here again, we're at a 3D cart store. And so with integration, your accounting package is connected directly with the data from your accounting, from your e-commerce store. So one of our customers is actually Everlast, and they make boxing gloves. So I took a screenshot of their e-commerce store where you can buy a whole bunch of cool gloves, and I wanted to show you visually what it looks like when you have an e-commerce integration through eBridge. So pretend that there is Everlast store and you want to place an order for those black boxing gloves. So your customer today would press, yep, get that. The order data from that person's order would flow directly into the middle part, which is eBridge's ePortal. And all of the information related to that order, the customer's information, where they want their things shipped, their Visa number, for example, the inventory count, the quantity, the SKU number, whatever data was associated with that order goes into the middle part, our portal, and then we push it immediately over to your accounting system. So in this case, I was using Microsoft Dynamics. And so that's a screenshot of your back-end Office accounting package, for example. The data flows immediately over there. Now let's talk about sending a customer's tracking number for a shipment. So now this person really wants their box full of goods from you. So the order is processed through your accounting package, and immediately that tracking number gets pushed through ePortal all the way over to your 3D cart store, for example. And there you are as an Everlast customer getting your tracking number immediately without any manual intervention from the merchants, from your standpoint. So those are two touch points, the first being the order going into the accounting package, and the second touch point example is this tracking number for the shipment of this box going back to the customer. So that's two touch points. So that's what it looks like when you have e-commerce integration. And finally, I'm on the last part here. What we did was we've been asking our customers and prospects for a bunch of years now, what are your biggest questions that you have around after the sale improvements and integration? And so I decided to take the top 5 and put them here. So I'm going to go through them one by one. Big question is, why do I need integration? And the number one thing that we say is, if you're processing more than 200 orders a month, then you shouldn't be doing it anymore manually. You know, it takes too much time. There's too much risk of inventory levels being incorrect, for example, or somebody accidentally incorrectly keying somebody's postal code, for example. You know, with your customers so heavily relying on their order getting there the day that you promised and correctly, you know, you just don't have that room for human error anymore. The second reason is just automating that data flow so that you don't have to worry anymore. That data goes in through 3D cart, for example, through the globe over to Sage, your accounting package, for example. You can scale your business across channels with integration. So if you decide that down the line you want to sell on 3D cart, but actually you also want to sell in-store at Target, you can just grab a Target connector and add it to your integration. And so data would flow from 3D cart and Target over to Sage. So you can just add a connector as an example. Or if you decide to change your Sage backend accounting package one day and use QuickBooks, you just unplug Sage and plug in the QuickBooks connector, and your e-commerce integration will work as it always has. So it works to scale and change your business. And then finally, it's just really about better customer experience. So instead of them, you know, you've taken a holiday to the Bahamas, for example, instead of somebody waiting 5 days for you to get back to send their package, things will happen automatically and data will flow and orders will be shipped without you even, you know, pressing your mouse or clicking a button on your computer. And inventory levels are always correct. So how much does integration cost? It's not free, but it can be close. Some vendors are actually offering a DIY tool, a do-it-yourself tool, that's available specifically between 2 points of integration. So for example, if you were using Shopify and Sage 50, there's some options out there online for, say, $99 a month. Other times, there's integrations through experts available, for example, for $1,000 for a touch point. So remember I talked about touch points being a direction of data flow. So an example would be an order. A second example would be a shipping tracking number. So it'd be about $1,000 a year per touch point. And then services or testing would be extra. But you can imagine that the return on investment would be pretty good if you were producing more than 200 orders a month and you didn't have to hire somebody to do all this manual data input. All right, number 3, how long does integration take? The joke is that it could be as quick as 4 minutes. There's the DIY integrator that I was talking about previously. There's a quick install button that literally takes 4 minutes to install. Other times it could take 2 to say 6 weeks to integrate. It really just depends on how many touch points your company needs, how many solutions you want to connect to. So if you wanted to sell to Target, Home Depot, you had an Amazon store and a 3D cart store, for example, and you were using Microsoft as your accounting tool, that's 5 things that need to be connected together. So that could take about a month to integrate, as an example. And also, if you want to do anything custom, you have custom fields that you want flowed back and forth, that takes longer too. Next question is, do you need to touch or alter my ERP? That's right. So we get this question often. So say that you're using QuickBooks, for example. People wonder if an integrator expert would have to then log into your QuickBooks and take a look around or edit things or edit what the view looks like. The answer is not at all. Good integration vendors simply stand back and they push and pull data from your systems that you put in place and you manage. So they are hands-off, but they are data flow experts. And even though data in one solution or system may speak in one code or language, they'll be the ones to make sure that the translation for data flows correctly to the second system you want to connect to. So if you think about it, let's say 3D cart speaks French, but your accounting package speaks Spanish. What I'm talking about is that the middle integrator will be the translator. It will make sure that English is translated into Spanish, and so that data flows properly from system to system. And the last question is, what if I want to change something down the line? And so I already talked about this, but I'll touch on it one more time, and that is all about changing out or swapping out e-commerce platforms down the line or changing your accounting package down the line. If you use a vendor that provides universal integration, then you don't need to worry. If you ever decide to make that kind of change, all you do is just request a different connector to be connected for your integration. So if you can imagine that globe that I was showing before with the 3D cart plug and the Sage plug, well, you simply unplug Sage and plug in something new, or keep 3D cart plugged in but add an Amazon plug, for example. So as long as you're using a vendor that has universal integration, then anytime you want to make a change or add something down the line, it's pretty simple. All right, we've reached the end here, almost the end. So if you want to get a copy of this e-commerce integration dummies book, it's actually available electronically anytime. You just have to go to ebridgeconnections.com/dummies and just give us your email address, and then the book gets downloaded immediately. It's 24 pages. We wrote it here at eBridge, and again, it's our 23 years of experience boiled down to 24 pages. So it's the ins and outs of how to sell omni-channel or cross-channels, how to make sure that your customer is happy by making sure their order is correct, and making sure it gets there fast. So it's a bunch of tips and tricks, and it's written in a tiny ebook available anytime you want to go to that website. And finally, I'm just going to explain a little more about eBridge if you've got one more minute. So we were founded in 1993. We're focused mainly on small and medium businesses, although we have some very large businesses as well. I mentioned Everlast as a customer. We have a connector or plugs, as I was showing. We have universal connectors for all of the top accounting packages, all of the top e-commerce platforms, EDI, retail big box stores, and also customer relationship management tools like Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics CRM. We have over 600 customers, and I think we're actually at 60 employees as of last week, so we're definitely growing, just as the e-commerce industry is growing as well. We help 600 businesses today, 300 active touch points So you can imagine that, one touch point is a single order, another touch point is a single shipment. Well, we have about 3,000 active touch points running at any given moment. So we're very busy, very busy company, but we have a lot of really happy customers. And finally, I just wanted to throw up a few of the partners that we have as eBridge. We work with a ton of e-commerce platforms, including 3D Cart. We work with Salesforce. We work with Microsoft Dynamics CRM. We also work with a lot of big box retailers like the Home Depot and Target and Sears. And finally, I mentioned that all of the top accounting packages and ERPs available as well. There's a bunch that I did not put up here that we also do. So if you want to go to ebridgeconnections.com, you'll see right on our homepage you can sift through the long list of things that we've integrated before and would be able to help with. And with that, I've reached the end of the webcast. Again, I wanted to thank 3D Cart for giving us the opportunity to speak with you today about e-commerce integration. And we have, as I've mentioned, a lot of really happy 3D Cart customers. I can imagine it's a really great feature-rich platform of choice, and we are really excited to be their partner. And I wanted to thank you for attending. If you have any questions at all, we're always available to answer. We have a live chat on our website. And feel free to grab the Dummies book, try our blueprint builder, or just email us and ask a question. All right, well, good luck with your business, and thanks again for your time. Bye now.